Living intelligence, about the underlying rift between what is real and what is artificial. By the counterintuitive. The machine becomes stupid not because it has failed, but because it needs to pass. A sublime logic that mimics human error and intelligence. Alan Turing, Computing Machine Laboratory, 1950. The above observation was a prelude to the Turing's test and the famous question: if machines can exhibit intelligent behavior that is indistinguishable from human beings? Turing was also occupied with a future possibility: the assimilation of machine behavior and modernity's quest for ever higher intelligence. The coming age as a duality of intelligence and absurdity, the famous scientist feared that future human beings would be subject to machine morality, John Searle, or later as techno-chauvinism, Meredith Broussard, artificial unintelligence. These challenging opinions and studies point not just to our collective enthusiasm for technology, but also certain deep follies. A conviction which has been long backed by computational power that would make social and individual problems inevitably retreat before a computation-enabled utopia. Nevertheless, skepticism and moral implications based on deeper insights of human intelligence insist that a computer executing a program cannot have a mind, understanding, or consciousness, regardless of how intelligently or human-like the program may make the computer behave. Minds, brains, and programs, John Searle. Regardless of being human-like or not, the experts and consumers both would come to believe that computational systems and power are inherently superior to human judgment. Yet we find such systems often reinforce the very inequalities and problems that they claim to overcome. But according to Meredith Broussard, we have already offloaded too much responsibility to systems which are blind at core. Then what form of intelligence is responsible for everything that is important? For over 3 decades, a range of scholars and authors such as David Graeber, James Bridle, Meredith Broussard, and Bernard Stiegler have explored further into the realm of intelligence as an emerging dialectic within technological societies. Given the current lack of public understanding and governance, the power of artificial intelligence, AI, is unchecked, as was the case earlier with nuclear weapons, mass surveillance systems, and various types of military technology. All this might sound cynical or critical of AI, but the objective here is to introspect and reorient our mindset about the underlying rift between what is real and what is artificial. Intelligence being a matter of the living in as many aspects of the word and its corresponding realities. As early as 1984, Margaret Bowden, University of Sussex, outlined the risk and moral crisis of machine learning as a rich set of rules applied on the available data, the input and consequent output, that we believe to be a new type of consciousness can exponentially grow because people will enrich such a limitless artificial mind. Can it then gradually redefine the very meanings which human beings associate with consciousness, purpose, intelligence, cognition, and freedom? Bowden's concern was not based on the mind, but about a seductive logic that society finds irresistible because of its sheer speed, efficiency, and scale of automation. 40 years on, we are using many such systems not because they are wise, but simply because they are there. But code and machines don't apprehend morals or exhibit consciousness. Not like how we do. How can I help you today? Any AI chatbot. Ironic that I is internalized by all of us, perhaps as a signifier of all such new entities, or call them humankinds, Michael D.B. Harvey. At best, what we share is a rich set of rules, information, and symbols with machine learning, but that does not take away the bugs or the bias and inherent faults in the very process of teaching machines to learn and hopefully behave with human-like capabilities. Perhaps the integration is a never-ending project. In the mid-1990s, Margaret Bowden began writing about the overlooked aspects of artificial intelligence and coming age of deep learning. Bowden's view is based on the assimilation of human intelligence and involved indifference of the process in terms of what learning and not what machine. Neural networks that learn patterns from huge amounts of data generated by us, billions of videos or healthcare records of an entire nation or secret military intelligence or our shopping history, etc. But the theory of assimilation of various systems into one centralized brain power as a broader outcome was worked out in advance during the mid-80s, early 90s, without the computing power that was required to make it work at a global scale. We made ourselves over. Bowden's assessment is about the inherent faults within emerging AI as a measure of people based on very arbitrary standards. Indeed, many arbitrary standards have made their way into the bureaucracy, public services, schools, e-commerce, banking, etc. Yet Operation Hope is mighty optimistic about taking measures to detect and eliminate bias and discrimination within machine intelligence. Sam Altman, who is the co-founder of Operation Hope, has after all earned billions off his profit-driven leadership at OpenAI. Yet folks like Sam Altman have nothing to do with the deeper moral implications of AI, instead committed to limitless expansion and proliferation. The compulsion for objectively smart people is to separate the needs of naturally evolved creatures from those of artificially assimilated intelligence. Artificial creatures, they can be understood as reactive machines, smart gadgets, cybernetic intelligence, surveillance software, virtual assistants, ChatGPT, Siri, Gemini, etc. Artificial intelligence as a matter of integration and training has taken up a sizable part of what is being touted as an economic opportunity for all. Be it finance, education, policy-making, employment, census, transport, healthcare, energy, and even environmentalism and sustainability, everyone wants to harness this new power. The mainstream verdict and invested experts say many things, including what Mustafa Suleyman underlines in his new book, The Coming Wave, as these tools will address global challenges and create vast wealth, but also upheaval on a once unimaginable scale. Mustafa's predicament mirrors the dualism of many techno-messianic figures of our age. Suleyman is also the CEO of Microsoft AI, previous co-founder of Inflection AI, and the early stages of DeepMind. Pursuing such intelligence and its impact on policy-focused advocacy, partnerships, program development, and active engagement with tech, business, community, government, and outlying stakeholders. Robin Li, founder and CEO of Baidu. Fascination with the organizational capacity of computers is based on ever-increasing computing power and the faith in a given software's current ability to comprehend human needs, objectives, and decisions. John Searle. Whatever coming wave or transcending humanity, AI does mimic a deeper tendency of continuous technological innovation, one that was deemed as a great bluff by Jacques Ellul, Technological Society. No doubt that Searle's concern about machine ability was prescient, yet the emerging doom and hype overshadowed the fundamental question he had posed about the inherent problem of learning between human beings and AI. However complex and simple the facets of human intelligence and behavior, a smart program can detect, calculate, and operate, yet it cannot decipher or come to understand the world as human beings do. It cannot feel poverty or the biosphere crisis, nor can be it aware of its own massive CO2 emissions. The conscious and the unconscious are both missing within such an artificially presupposed meta-logic. According to Searle, such programs, or call them artificial entities, lack meaning, however brilliant the software or hardware may be. It is rich in symbols but morally inept and empty. But that is the least concern for millions of people currently harnessing the capabilities and power of AI-based technologies and platforms. The less motivated or more critical are aware of the rising harm, accidents, and totalitarian stupidity involved in the unchecked proliferation of AI. Some folks wish for militant and tactically assertive resistance, destroy AI, while others press upon the moral case for sabotaging, circumventing, and destroying AI, machine learning systems, and their surrounding political projects as valid responses to harm. ASRG, the Manifesto on Algorithmic Sabotage. Attributed to a crisis in white identity, whereby Twitter algorithms gave preference to the distribution and exposure of hateful content that is clearly aimed at people with declining social power. Sage Journal, 2018. If all that seems too radical, political, or violent, we might as well make a deal with AI and the prevalence of stupidity, Bernard Stiegler. The algorithmic manifest destiny in our quest for radical technological change, Mustafa Suleyman. Symbolic with ever smarter machines and systems of administration that actualize within global trade, banking, commerce, transport, communication, media, etc., also wield inherent risks and unforeseen outcomes. The absurdity factor that can play out within AI are catastrophic or recursive. Outlined by Michael O'Connell in Artificial Stupidity, the range of uncertainties are eventually related to various foundational myths and biases present in the evolution of AI. Regardless of its power, it also carries the inevitability of error and brutal logic. It is unlikely that machine intelligence and robots will go on a strike, demanding better conditions of work and higher wages, like human beings always have. More likely is the chance of yet another major worldwide economic downturn under AI's auspicious global outreach. What is being described as a gold rush of AI and data magic was touted earlier as the new oil. Anticipated market crash. Discursive or fraudulent chatbots. One fatal bug that can sabotage 6 million lines of code. Blue screen of death. Windows/CrowdStrike failure 2024. Billion-dollar military systems that are prone to critical errors and inexplicable hallucinations. The use of precision intelligence to kill innocent civilians and children in Gaza. State-appointed Chinese hackers unleash a blackout on millions of people in Mumbai for hours. Algorithm-generated t-shirts that cheer for rape, xenophobia, and Nazis. Thousands of wrong deliveries by McDonald's AI. A feedback survey which asks us to rate the survey itself? The examples are countless, but recursive absurdity is working exactly how it's designed, without any real understanding or scope of self-evaluation. James Bridle, in his book The New Dark Age, cites a range of techno-absurdities as placed within broad measures and systems that are dumb and inadvertently behave contrary to our objectives. Misleading chatbots, smart translators, spam filters, algorithmically generated products, from the mildly funny to the ethically catastrophic. According to Michael O'Connell, bugs are endemic to large computation systems, built into the prevailing logic, not accidental but also incentivized many times. Bernard Stiegler's scathing foresight circa 2012 that we have entered an era of diminutization of work and a general destruction of thinking. Our collective enthusiasm, or how we've been trained to apply computer technology to every aspect of life, has also resulted in loads of poorly designed systems. There can be no argument here because we all end up cursing a program, or the internet connection, or the ATM, or the smart assistants, or even the chatbot. Yet at the same time we are so eager to do everything digitally. Hiring, creating, driving, broadcasting, paying bills, even choosing romantic partners or travel destinations. Meredith Broussard, Artificial Unintelligence, is perhaps why we have stopped demanding that our technology actually work. A throwback to Alan Turing's sublime logic of machines trying to behave like human beings, or is it the other way around? Back to John Searle's dogma. If the computer managed to fool the expert and the layman? Regardless, what is intelligence anyway? Ask a range of experts, including the artificial ones, and the myriad answers are pretty incommensurate. Alas, the poor computer is simply following a set of formal rules to manipulate symbols as input, with the intention to generate further new symbols and actions as output. What the computer has is rich, powerful syntax, but it does not have semantics. Language cannot be explained just by the fixed meaning and the syntax of words, images, and sounds, but it must include the temporality of meanings, formulated within the conscious and the unconscious. An organic process, discerning to human intelligence and communication, is perhaps how the appreciation of art, storytelling, music, dance, photography, film, and many such discerning aspects of being human came about over time. Call it living intelligence. We must concur with the living intelligence of millions of creatures and critters spread across the web of life. From a psychological perspective, we see a close relation between the ability of languages and their imaginaries, invisible structures, that are used to make sense of the world and the moment. What can AI make and learn of such psychological wealth and experience is not the concern here. Further, it cannot possibly gain the capacity to become spontaneously conscious, regardless of all the rich data, ethics, probabilities, guidelines, and symbols that we can provide. AI is not collective or subjective like human beings, yet it is totally gullible as well as intentional. Bernard Stiegler. AI is contrary to not only ordinary biological evolution, but also blind, indiscriminate, to the entire physical features and shared reality of our world. For whatever its worth and supposed ability to generate, it is definitely not alive. By the counterintuitive. In case you wish to pledge support with a paid subscription, click here.